I have a confession to make. I am AR-55 and I still have no Bennett. I think I came up with this challenge as sort of a coping mechanism, since I'm still Bennettless. And Bennett being a sport and all, he can just sport himself. This shouldn't be too bad, I think. With that being said, let's get right into the rules. I can only use Bennett. However, if I have to use another character for their element to make progress, then that's allowed. Any sword is allowed. And lastly, no items. I actually want this to be a challenge. So I open up the game, but there's already something weird going on.
You wanted to leave and go on to the interrogation of mankind ends now.
The voices were in slow motion, I couldn't see a thing. My game was tripping, so I quite fittingly named the traveler Help. Restarting the game fixed it. We can actually play the game, thank the Lord. We go to Venti's statue, get the powers we're never going to use again, meet Venti, his dog and Amber. We reach Mondstadt. I was trying to get to the waypoint, but for some reason I was really struggling. And I just walked off to my death. Challenge hasn't even begun and we got our first death. Anyway, I did manage to get to the waypoint eventually. As if that wasn't embarrassing enough, something worse happens. Turns out we don't have the wind glider yet. I'm so used to having it, that's why I just jumped without thinking. So yeah, it's our first game over. We don't even have Bennett yet. This is not gonna end well. As if to rub even more salt into the wound, we get the wind glider 2 minutes after. We meet up with Kaya, Lisa and Jean to talk about how we're going to prevent Storm Terror from killing everyone. But more importantly, we're finally able to wish. Hoyoverse found it in their heart to give us 10 Acquaint Fates. We're gonna use them on Noelle's banner. There are only 10 4-stars, so we actually have a chance of getting Bennett. I don't expect to get him on the first.
Wow!
Why didn't this happen on my main account? After some running around, we enter the first temple where we need to collect Storm Terror's tears. The homie just has a tough time, alright. I had no trouble clearing it. I didn't even need Amber to activate these stones since Bennett could do it. The next temple was also really easy. You can use Kaya to stop these thingies spitting fire, but I just ran through them. I did need Kaya to do some ice bridging, otherwise there was no way I could have gone through. Again, there was not really any trouble. And we get Kaya, only to bench him forever. Next is the temple with Lisa, and like all the others, there was no trouble. I had to use her to activate an Electro Stone, and then it just deleted everything else. We need to do some grinding in order to continue with the story, so next up is Kaya's story quest, which really is just running around for 5 hours trying to get some leads for a treasure. And when we do arrive at the temple, we encounter new players' biggest nightmare, a rune guard. Oh, by the way, I put these two in my party because Cryo and Electro were recommended elements. I thought I needed them to progress, but as you can see, I haven't used them. Bennett was enough to delete the rune guard and his homies. That aside, turns out there was no treasure at all, and we all just got pranked. We move on to Amber's story quest, which just consists of flying around. Just kidding, now we have to catch a criminal. First we bomb some hilichurls, then we snipe them. Amber was needed here because what do you want Bennett to do? Fly? We found our criminal. He sounds just like another criminal we all know.
Oh, little girl, why don't you run along?
The boss was nothing, Bennett just smacked them all. We head to the cathedral and finally get our gliding license. Now that I think about it, I think we were actually the criminal here, since we were gliding without a license. Anyway, the Feds don't know, so we move on with the story. We meet up with Venti and an Eye of the Storm is after us. Fighting this thing was so annoying. He outsmarted me just by flying over me.
Bruh.
We need the Holy Liar. Asking nicely didn't work, so we did the only thing that made sense. Steal it. I'm really thinking the traveler is an actual criminal. But before we could steal it, the Fatui stole it. So answer me this. Did we really break the law? I think not. But the knights are still after us. We need to steal the Holy Liar back, so next temple we enter we can actually play as a cool 5-star Diluc. Just kidding, we need no 5-star. Bennett is a 6-star. This Fatui mage was definitely someone to look out for as she took little to almost no damage. She teleported, her stupid bats attacked me. We came really close to dying, but it's all good since Bennett can just just heal himself. The boss of the temple also took very low damage. He disappears for a while and has these spinning blades. It was just a case of running around and smacking him. Next we head to yet another temple where we have to find a rune guard. This guy takes little damage. I had to dodge at the right time. I also ran around a lot, so this fight took me a whole 2 minutes. Next temple was not too bad. These spiral slimes are everywhere, which is kinda annoying. Fortunately, smacking them 50 times always does the job. It couldn't get any worse, right? Wrong. Oh my, this thing. It's the bane of my existence. What are you even doing here, bro? Look at that damage. This fight was tough, until it wasn't. Turns out all I had to do was just smack him into the water, and he just dies. Wow, I was smacking him for a minute and a half until this happened. Anyway, next up we have to beat a Mita troll with a shield, which really doesn't matter since we can just burn it. After 50 years, we were finally able to purify the tears. We try to help Dvalin, he leaves. Hey, that's our sister. Sometimes I forgot the whole point of this game is to find her. But first we have to stop Dvalin from destroying Mondstadt. Just kidding! First we have to be 5 adventure ranks higher to be able to do anything. I guess Dvalin will just wait before he wipes out the whole nation. How nice of him. In order to gain experience, I did my dailies. All went well. Until I encountered him again. This time, however, there was no water. The next day I did my dailies again. And guess who I encountered? Again. I decided to do some ley lines, and guess who I encountered again? I did another ley line and guess who I encountered? I'm just kidding, it was his Hydra cousin, thank god. Next up is Lisa's story quest, and it just consists of us retrieving some books people borrowed. There was so much action. We also headed to another temple. I had to use Lisa to activate these things. Luckily there was nothing pyro related, everything went pretty smoothly. Until we saw Lisa commit murder right in front of us. Look at his adorable little feet. Don't you just feel bad for him? I wonder why they wear a mask. Is it because they think they're ugly like Haley Charles do? I guess that's what the point of the mask is. Moving on, we do something a bit more relaxed. Zhongling's story quest, which is pretty much just about food. We do enter some ruins. Fortunately, it wasn't too bad. The enemies are cryo slimes or hilichurls. Both are not too difficult to beat. Everything was easy. Yo, why are you just chilling in this room? Not gonna lie, I was a bit worried until Bennett just murked him. I guess it's because he's twice its level. Anyway, we take the meat, make some din-din, everyone is happy, yay! I do some other random things to get XP. I headed all the way over to Spiral Biz, only to not be able to unlock it because my adventure rank is too low. I just headed over to Liyue to grind some more, because everyone in Mondstadt was gonna die at this rate. And finally, we can actually continue. So the plan is to confront Storm Terror and beat him up, I guess, until he stops. On the way to his lair, there are a few enemies, so I make quick work of them. Everything went really well.
There's and drink in the tavern all day. Paimon doesn't get it. What part of you is remotely diligent?
Couldn't break the curse.
Yep, this is the 3rd time a character has died. And like every other time, it's with fall damage. Anyways, before we can actually confront Storm Terror, we have to break the seals around the lair. And guess who's joined us? I was worried I wouldn't be able to make it in time, but we made it with 20 seconds left. It took me 1 minute and 40 seconds. There were no pyro mages at the other seals, fortunately. Finally, after 6 hours, we're finally able to confront Storm Terror. And our dear friends would rather just stand there than help us. First, we have to shoot him down with our very strong level 6 Traveler. Now it's time for the actual fight. The fate of Mondstadt is in our hands. With the Animal Archon by our side, whom we're totally gonna use, we engage in this battle. It was a very tough fight. Bennett almost one-faced him. I could have sworn this fight was way harder. I guess I just sucked back then. All it took was 2 phases to save the whole of Mondstadt. Could have done this 4 hours ago. But who cares? Mondstadt has been saved by a single child. However, we cannot celebrate yet, as we get robbed by the Fatui. I guess this is karma for all the felonies we've committed. But you know what they say? If someone robs you, you rob them back. Our next destination is Liyue. However, we need to rank up yet again. So what better way to get some free XP than doing story quests? First up is Deluxe. We've got to enter some ruins. The enemies and the boss were not too difficult. Just look at that damage, man. Every time I see the Hydro variant, I cannot describe the happiness I feel. This time, we torture an Abyss Mage.
Let's see how long it takes for you to crack.
Stop! Stop! Please! Pain! I beg you! Make it stop!
Playing dead won't help you. That fire was nowhere near strong enough to... Oh. He seems to have passed out.
No, I cannot be the only one actually feeling bad for them, right? I know they're the enemy, but it's just the screams, man. Near the end of the quest, we do some more fighting. Instead of the Dark Knight hero, Mondstadt has the Pyro Archon to protect them, so naturally, we win. After even more grinding and ghost hunting, I finally decide to do Razor's story quest. Seeing him, I imagine everyone must think back to some fond memories of when they were maining him. Except for me, of course, because I got him at AR 55. And he's still level 20. Look, I avoided this quest, because there's a boss that still gives me PTSD until this day. And that boss is this big doggo right here. This was the most difficult thing in all of this challenge up till now. But I managed eventually. You know why? Because we only had to take half of his health, and then Razor stepped in and saved us. God, I don't want to imagine how the next fate was gonna be. I don't want to think about that anymore, so let's move on to some other quests. There are 2 of them now? Why did they multiply? Forget about that, let me just take this chest. Are you kidding me? But that will have to wait for next time. This script is already too long. It's probably because I talk too much, I'm not even gonna lie to you.